Hello, everyone. Latest show that we watched together, rewatched together, we've both seen it many times over the years, was Joss Whedon's Firefly and Serenity and everything. So we're going to talk a little bit about that show.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit about that show. And going to leave a lot of it up to you because you were in the trenches. You were a Browncoat.
I was in the trenches.
Yeah, I was introduced a little bit later.
I fought the war.
Yeah, so for me it was more of, I saw I think 2.5 episodes on TV before it was canceled. That was it. And then it was when it came out on DVD that I got into it. So, Firefly on DVD, and eventually you want to get also the anniversary edition of Blu-ray, not the first print because that was not good. But anyway, this is the original DVD set. It's been re-released in a different set, but this is the first DVD set. It was more my introduction into it, and you got the support because you were, during the show.
I was a Browncoat. This was, I don't remember what year this was, but this was when the internet, this came out at the perfect time where the internet, you could finally do things on, you could talk to people. There were message boards, they don't exist anymore. But this was something that, couldn't have happened. The Browncoats could not have done what we did if we did not have the internets.
It reminded me a lot of the way the original Star Trek series fans were back when it was
and a lot of those people were Star Trek fans.
Yeah.
And I think, I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for saying this, but...
Saying what?
But I compare this in a lot of ways to your Shenmue.
Oh,
because it is the opposite of Shenmue. This was a community... This was a community from the start. Before this came out, it was doomed to fail. And it was so beautiful, and everyone was just so happy and loving and wonderful and supportive. And your people of Shenmue are the opposite.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
just they're freaking vicious,
infighting, and if you like this for different reasons than I like it, you're not a real that real fan idea. Yeah,
religious zealots.
Mostly a bunch of jackasses.
Your people are these religious zealots, and
why are they my people?
They're your people. But I remember when Shenmue first, on E3, I was so happy for you because I thought you were gonna finally get what I got, the community that I got, and that's one of the things I love about Firefly, more than the show even, was the community and the people, and it was one of the first times you met people from all over the world, and everyone was just so supportive and happy, and they wanted to help, and they wanted to share stories, and it was so beautiful. And it was doomed to fail.
Before it even...
It was so sad.
And it's such a good show.
It was so sad. And, they knew immediately, before we even watched this, that it was going to air out of order. And we knew that.
Which was a huge problem.
We knew that, the people on the forums knew it was going to happen, and it was just, it was sad going in, because you knew. And, I mean, it's Joss Whedon. It's our Lord and Savior, Joss Whedon, and he just constantly gets screwed, and it's so sad. But I love the community. It was just so, and then we rallied around and we did it.
Yeah, and they were able to get a movie outside of the great show that...
Yeah, fantastic show. And
even for how, not even being a full season, I mean...
Yeah, this
there's
is
not a single bad episode.
I always think it's longer than it is, and I'm always forgetting about episodes because it's so short. And it's just, but there's so much love in every episode. And everybody just loves each other, the cast and crew, and it's just it was the perfect storm. And Fox they were we need something cheaper than Dark Angel.
Yeah.
And so they canceled Dark Angel.
Yeah, that's a funny thing, because if you've been watching, we were revisiting Dark Angel and did a whole video series about that. We found out part of why they canceled it was to cancel, and they replaced it with Firefly, which they canceled before it was even...
Yeah, so good job, Fox.
That, I mean, and...
They're the devil.
I really like Buffy. Angel's pretty good. I really like Buffy. But hands down, this, I think, is Joss Whedon's best work.
I think this is his passion project. Yeah. This is the thing he always wanted to do. And when you hear sci-fi western with no aliens, what is this? What is this thing?
Yeah,
but it's so beautiful.
Even from the premise, it's very up your alley. And for me, it's not as much because I'm very Star Trek. But then outside of Star Trek,
your sci-fi is clean and polished.
No, because outside of that,
beautiful.
the other science fiction that I like outside that is very alien. Farscape, Lex, that kind of stuff. This is not...
Yeah, there's no aliens.
This is not that direction. It's not the Star Trek direction. It's something very different. So it's not necessarily something I would think I would be super into, but it's amazing. Every actor is great in there. The everything,
Look at them
everything
all.
is like
They're
all the characters
beautiful.
are just so perfectly. They're given life by those performances that it's such a great show. Like that half a season basically is better than a lot of other complete sci-fi shows.
Yeah.
And it's sad that it didn't continue beyond that. We did get Serenity, the movie, thankfully, thanks to the efforts of people. And it's weird that this did not then launch a second season, that didn't come back.
And everyone was like, after it, everyone was so excited, everyone was so happy, and we were just ready for like season 2. We were ready for it to continue because it was.
It's a great movie.
It was a great movie. It did well. We were all just ready. We thought like this is totally gonna happen. Everyone was so excited.
And now it's been way too long.
And no, it's been too long. And like all of the cast was on board, the crew was on board, everyone was ready. You had the ship was like basically made. It was done.
Yeah.
And it never happened, and it was sad.
But Serenity was
Serenity
brilliant
was
because
beautiful.
it had a hard job because it had
Yes.
to, one, it had to appeal and be true to the show. It had to introduce and wrap up a bunch of things that were introduced. It couldn't obviously do everything in one 2-hour movie, but it had to wrap up as much as possible that was introduced while introducing new things and at the same time be understandable and relatable to a brand new audience who'd never seen the show, because the show at the time it didn't really do well when it aired, and DVD sales were really good, but that doesn't mean they wanted to also have new people be able to buy tickets and watch a movie, and so that's a hard thing to do, but it actually did everything.
Did really
So it's great. So that there, HD DVD, and then this cool Steelbook Blu-ray DVD combo. So I want to get the matching Blu-ray of the series with the comic-y kind of cover art eventually for that. So, I mean, just a great movie. I love the movie because it handles everything so well.
Done really well.
We both recently read the novelization then of Serenity,
which
which I
is
thought was great.
It has some new stuff.
New stuff. You get more into River's head, which I like.
And I love
so
the
it's
Mr.
really good.
Universe. I love Mr. Universe. He's so great.
But no, I absolutely love that.
It's just.
I mean, everything about that. I mean, Jane, the character, again, it's something else that on paper is like, just kind of dumb brute, but there's so much more to him.
The best Baldwin brother.
He loves that. You can tell he loves that character. That's the thing about, even before you watch the behind the scenes of any of this stuff, you can tell the actors love their characters, and that adds so much more to the quality of a show. That adds so much more to getting into it. It really shows care and love. I mean, Gina Torres is like amazing in everything. But when I think Gina Torres now, this is what I think of. Even though she's great in everything, this is the number one thing I think of.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion.
Summer
Everyone's
Glau,
just
like
amazing.
I think River Tam immediately. Like no matter anyone else, if I might like them in other things, this is what I associate with them with as soon as I hear the name, because they just did such a good job.
Yeah.
So and then we also got into the comics,
I'm not
which.
a very big fan of the comics.
Neither was a big comic people in general, I think, but at least in some form, we did get some continuation.
This one upsets me.
What, the Shepherd's
The
Tale?
Shepherd's Tale. We have a different version of it too, but I don't agree with. Like it was just too. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. That's not what happened to Shepherd.
And it's been too long. There
Shepherd
are.
book is.
Well, we have to look into more. There are books that are coming out now that are going to be a little more direct continuations, but overall, it's just sad that we never got the continuation of the show. Like nothing was as great as any kind of comics are, or novelizations, or continuing books, or whatever. It's not the same as if it had like a season 2, season 3.
And I think the legacy of Serenity and Firefly really, like it's. So many people are so passionate about it, and it was such an underdog story, and I think that gives it part of its legacy is that everyone was just so angry.
Oh yeah.
So upset because it was just so.
The length of the series is almost as far as it's the legacy to its benefit.
Yes,
because
I think so.
there were no bad episodes. It never really had the chance to have bad episodes. You know what I mean? Because some shows, the first season's a little rocky. Here it was very much love, passion. We know we're on the verge of cancellation from day one. Like we have to give everything that we have. They gave everything they had. They made like a brilliant first season.
Yeah.
And it didn't have a chance to peter out. Like it was that star that
was
shone brightly, and that's it.
It was such a like parallel to what the series was about with the Browncoats, because like you're outnumbered, outgunned. You're never gonna make it, but we have to try. And then we did, and then it didn't matter because we still got canceled.
Yeah.
It was just it was
it almost
unbelievably tragic.
It almost helped its legacy, like what happened to it, as bad as it.
Yeah.
You know. And that's also why you can never, it's been too many years. People's image of the show, it's become such a part of a certain part of pop culture.
Yeah.
That you can't.
And it's
one
weird
of those things that
it wasn't super popular. Like, I don't.
Yeah, it took a long
most
time
of the
afterwards.
people I knew didn't know what it was. Like, it was people on message boards, and mostly I feel like people older than us. They were like Trekkies, like adults, and we were in like high school, and like I just. Like, it was mostly people. There were a lot of Germans on the boards. I feel like there's always a lot of Germans on the boards. You guys are
anything
everywhere.
science
Everywhere.
fiction. Everything science fiction.
And you don't know. They're like
people are there.
covert. You
My
don't
people are
know it's
there.
them because they speak perfect
Yeah,
English, and
yeah.
you're like, who are you?
Yeah, no, my people are always there for
But-
science fiction.
But it was such a great community, and it was so sad, and it was one of those things, like, it just screws up, like because you're a 90s kid, and like, we did it together, and then like, it didn't make sense. How are they not renewed? But we did it. This is supposed to be like, we did it, and it didn't.
Man, it was so
It
great.
didn't
and,
happen, but
timing wise too, right after it was in theaters, I happened to be taking like the Universal lot tour, and they had like some stuff from Serenity was on
That's
the
so
tour
cool.
like temporarily because it was right there, just perfect timing. Because it's so quality. It's one of those shows that failed in its time. Didn't get quite the level of resurgence that it should have. At least it got the movie, which was at least it got something. But it's something that will live on for so many years, so many decades to come, because it has reached that status where it's went from
as it should, deservedly so.
failure to cult hit to now it's like an icon within within pop culture. It really is one of those shows that like is like it's one of those like nerd cred shows.
Yeah, and it kind of annoys me, like
Sometimes,
because
yeah.
like it's such like
Little-
a hipster thing
little-
now.
it's become, yeah,
and
like,
like
yeah.
like you weren't a brown coat, like
yeah.
you don't know,
Yeah.
but like it's weird to
Vinyl
me.
record collection and a Firefly tattoo or something. You know?
But it's a weird thing because like it's things that like you wouldn't think.
Yeah.
And I love the ship. Serenity is like
It is
one of
really
my
great
favorite
design.
ships. Like it's
I
up there
love-
with D. Like it's
I love the Enterprise D.
D.
I know, but not everyone's gonna know what you're talking. But what I love about it is that it's basically one continuous set. I mean, it's
Yes.
two parts. The one with the hangar part, and it's split into two. But each of those two parts,
It's completely built.
Yeah, completely built. It's on, and that
It's
is such
real.
a huge deal. Like it had such a great sense of realism and understanding the ship and the scale of the ship. Because again, for a lot of sci-fi series, it's
Even Star Trek.
we have like two hallways that we rearrange or redress. We have one set of crew quarters that we have to redress every time it's someone else's crew quarters, like whatever. And you get the sense of scale more from exterior shots and things versus this. You got a sense of scale perfectly as you're walking through the ship.
Well, I think that's what
It feels
this
it feels
series is
homely,
very
too.
personal.
Yeah.
There's very like you can tell this is Joss Whedon's, like this is his baby.
Yeah.
And you get that feeling, and everyone there is just like on board and like in the Church of Joss. Like it is like a sacred thing, and I think that like he went almost too far with some of the episodes where like he's like sticking it to the man, and I feel like Fox was like this is not appropriate. We're not gonna do this.
I don't know. Yeah,
But
it's so good.
He just did it. Like
Yeah.
he didn't hold back. He just did it, and I think the man didn't like that.
Yeah, but it's
The man was like, "Oh no,
emblematic of
oh
its
no, we're not
themes.
doing that."
But yeah, anyway, so it is a fantastic show. If you have not seen it, which I would be shocked if someone watching this video had not seen it, just because of what it's become over the years, versus if this video was
Which is
15
great,
years
but
ago,
I'm
we'd filmed this, it'd be totally different
It's so
environments.
weird, but
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But let us
Yeah.
know, and if you were a brown coat, let us know.
Yeah,
Let
what is
me
your
know.
experience with the show? It's
One of my favorites.
become one of those like nerd cred shows where it's like you haven't seen that has a possible.
That annoys
But
me,
it-
but it's
but it's
very
also good.
sweet,
It's-
and
yeah,
it makes me happy.
it's also good that
because this is one of those
It's
shows
not
that
gonna die. Its legacy
it's
is
gonna live on forever,
yeah.
as it should.
Yeah, so fantastic show, and we just had a good time revisiting it.
Always,
after
always.
every
I think this is one of the
5-10
sci-fi
years.
shows I will watch the most
Oh, yeah.
out of anything.
and especially because you can
just watch it
invest it
all.
and just watch it all.
Yeah.
It's just great. But it ends on a good note with Serenity, which could have turned out poorly, but it didn't. It's great.
No,
it's awesome. So just a fantastic series, and in a way, I hope they never try and make it come back. I hope
At
they
this
never,
point, it's been too long,
been
and
too long,
they're
it'll
never
never-
gonna put the main cast back.
Yeah,
at this
it will
point.
never match people's expectations and like their dream of what was going to be in their head. So in a way, I really hope they never touch it again. So, but yeah, we'd love to hear what your experience is with Firefly and the movie Serenity. Fantastic show, one of the best sci-fi shows made ever.